ultimately our job as soldiers is to communicate, to connect people, to connect the American public with its army. And so we're sent across the country into strategic areas to communicate, to connect people. We meet everyone from big cities to small towns, but the most important thing is to be a soldier, shaking somebody's hand, listening to them, talking to them about the Army, about what's important, what's going on, reminding them that we are the only Army that raises its right hand and swears an oath to a Constitution, to an idea. And so for me, that's an exciting thing to do. But I wanted to stay connected with opera because that's my medium of communication. It's what I've been passionate about my entire life. And so I first started producing opera scenes. I brought in a stage director and partially professional development for the soldiers to sort of refresh their craft and be reminded of what it's like to communicate with an audience and have some sort of professional direction. And that I was challenged by a new commander to bring that more in line with his vision for our organization, his vision for our mission statement, to connect the American public with its Army. And so I began to sort of mull on that and explore that. And one day I remember walking into my NCOIC's office and said, "Look, Sergeant Major, there's this opera conference coming up. And I know a few of the people there, and I just think it's going to be a good idea to connect and network a little bit and sort of explore this new challenge from the commander, Colonel Jim Keane." And I walked away so inspired by what was going on in the opera industry, what opera companies were doing to connect to their communities. I came back the next workday and I said, "Sergeant Major, I think we need to commission an opera." And she marched me down to the CO's office and he said, "Come up with a plan." The initial idea was to, our mission statement at the time was more taking the Army story to the American public. It hadn't changed to connecting the American public to its Army. And so I was looking for new ways to tell stories, right, that the field band may not have exercised before. And so my favorite way of telling stories is through opera. And so it really was a plan of mine to reach out firsthand to modern veteran, like active duty, if we could find them, active duty soldiers, and contemplate what it is what story we do want to take. What is the American public missing? We thought about that for a while and came up with I came up with an artistic team to sort of begin to fulfill this vision with an open mind, because we really still had no idea what it looked like in the end, or what we wanted. A broader audience, right? It wasn't necessarily something that the field band was going to do off on its own. And so my Colonel Jim Keane asked me to explore collaboration. And I reached out to Opera America, and the next spring they put me on their New Works Forum to talk about my idea. And it really was an invitation. I've got this idea, I need help in fulfilling it. And we came out of the conference, I came away from the conference with interested parties, and by the fall we had 5 co-commissioning opera companies. And almost immediately, about a month after the opera conference in Montreal in 2016, after I'd presented on the forum, Jerry Dye, the librettist, Zach Redler, the composer, and I found ourselves at Walter Reed, at Fort Myer, Henderson Hall, with the old guard in their barracks, speaking with honor guard, people who perform ceremonies at Arlington Cemetery. We were speaking with colonels at Cybercom. We were speaking with jump masters, people who train soldiers to jump out of an airplane. Ex-Rangers, Special Forces. I mean, we spoke with people who had just come from basic training days before. We tried to grasp this range, basically exposing our creative team to stories from a wide range of soldiers' experiences, from careers to stages in career.